The Supreme Court will consider whether states can ban transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports. At issue are laws passed in Idaho and West Virginia that opponents argue violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause and Title IX, a federal statute that prohibits sex-based discrimination in schools. 27 states have passed bans on transgender athletes in sports that align with their gender identity. Some bans specifically target transgender women. CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins us now. Jessica, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So, what is the central question here before the justices in this case?
I think exactly as you said, whether or not these state bans are legal and constitutional, whether or not a state ban like this violates the Equal Protection Clause, does it amount to the type of discrimination that we won't tolerate? And does it violate Title IX? Does it violate a federal law that says we can't discriminate on the basis of sex when it comes to sports in schools? I'm being very broad in that description. But the court is going to look at specifically a couple of things, whether or not these types of laws amount to sex-based discrimination. And if they do they pass the level of scrutiny, a pretty high level of scrutiny that we subject those types of laws to? Or is this instead a classification on the basis of transgender status? And then do we maybe make it easier for these states to pass scrutiny to survive?
States are arguing that this is about fairness. Does the issue of fairness matter? Does it count when it comes to how the justices will review this case?
So I think it will come into play. Fairness, generally speaking, is more of a policy argument. But where will it come into play? Once we look at these state bans and determine what level of scrutiny we're going to apply, meaning are we going to, as judges, be very strict in looking at these laws, or will we be kind of deferential to the states? Then the next thing we need to ask is, what is the government's goal? If we're looking with a really searching eye, the government's goal needs to be important. If we're looking with a more deferential eye, the government's goal just has to be legitimate. But that's where then fairness comes in. What is the state arguing? Why does the state saying we need these particular bans? And part of the argument by the states is that that's only fair. And so that's where the fairness comes into the legal analysis.
So the NCAA has banned transgender women from competing in female sports. The University of Pennsylvania recently did the same. How do those policies impact this case, or is it really seen as a separate conversation in the eyes of the court?
So I think it's a separate conversation in the sense that the court is going to be looking just at those state laws from Idaho and West Virginia and won't be looking more broadly. But how is it kind of in the background part of the conversation? Because the justices are people and they're looking at what's happening in the real world. And I think that they are more comfortable upholding bans when they see that those bans are fairly prevalent. And they're more comfortable striking down bans when it looks like they're outliers. That's, of course, only one part of the analysis here.
Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for joining us and breaking this all down. I appreciate it.